Hi, welcome to Ishta Reads, where you can come back every day for readings, rantings, and sometimes taking things apart to find out how they really work. Today I'm continuing with my series of Rudyard Kipling's Just So stories, and I'll be reading How the Camel Got His Hump. In the beginning of years, when the world was so new and all, and the animals were just beginning to work for man, there was a camel, and he lived in the middle of a howling desert because he did not want to work. And besides, he was a howler himself. So he ate sticks and thorns and tamarisks and milkweed and prickles, most excruciating idle. And when anybody spoke to him, he said, "Humph!" Just "Humph!" and no more. Presently the horse came to him on a Monday morning, with a saddle on his back and a bit in his mouth, and said, "Camel, oh camel, come out and trot like the rest of us." "Humph!" said the camel, and the horse went away and told the man. Presently the dog came to him, with a stick in his mouth, and said, "Camel, oh camel, come and fetch and carry like the rest of us." "Humph!" said the camel, and the dog went away and told the man. Presently the ox came to him, with the yoke on his neck, and said, "Camel, oh camel, come and plough like the rest of us." "Humph!" said the camel, and the ox went away and told the man. At the end of the day the man called the horse and the dog and the ox together, and said, "Three, oh three, I'm very sorry for you, with the world so new and all, but that Humph thing in the desert can't work, or he would have been here by now, so I am going to leave him alone, and you must work double time to make up for it." That made the three very angry, with the world so new and all. And they held a palaver and an indaba and a punchayet and a powwow on the edge of the desert. And the camel came chewing milkweed most excruciating idle, and laughed at them. Then he said, "Humph!" and went away again. Presently there came along the Jinn in charge of all deserts, rolling in a cloud of dust. Jinns always travel that way because it is magic. And he stopped to palaver and powwow with the three. "Jinn of all deserts," said the horse, "is it right for any one to be idle, with the world so new and all?" "Certainly not," said the Jinn. "Well," said the horse, "there's a thing in the middle of your howling desert, and he's a howler himself, with a long neck and long legs, and he hasn't done a stroke of work since Monday morning. He won't trot." "Whew!" said the Jinn, whistling. "That's my camel for all the gold in Arabia. What does he say about it?" "He says 'Humph!'" said the dog, "and he won't fetch and carry." "Does he say anything else?" "Only 'Humph!' and he won't plough," said the ox. "Very good," said the Jinn. "I'll humph him if you will kindly wait a minute." The Jinn rolled himself up in his dust cloak, and took a bearing across the desert, and found the camel most excruciatingly idle, looking at his own reflection in a pool of water. "My long and bubbling friend," said the Jinn, "what's this I hear of your doing no work, with the world so new and all?" "Humph!" said the camel. The Jinn sat down, with his chin in his hand, and began to think a great magic, while the camel looked at his own reflection in the pool of water. "You've given the three extra work ever since Monday morning, all on account of your excruciating idleness," said the Jinn. And he went on thinking magics, with his chin in his hand. "Humph!" said the camel. "I shouldn't say that again if I were you," said the Jinn. "You might say it once too often. Bubbles, I want you to work." And the camel said, "Humph!" again. But no sooner had he said it than he saw his back that he was so proud of, puffing up and puffing up into a great big lolloping hump. "Do you see that?" said the gin. "That's your very own hump that you've brought upon your very own self by not working. To-day is Thursday, and you've done no work since Monday, when the work began. Now you are going to work." "How can I," said the camel, "with this hump on my back?" "That's made a purpose," said the gin, "all because you missed those 3 days. You will be able to work now for 3 days without eating, because you can live on your hump. And don't you ever say I never did anything for you. Come out of the desert and go to the 3, and behave. Humph yourself." And the camel humped himself, hump and all, and went away to join the 3. And from that day to this, the camel always wears a hump. We call it hump now, not to hurt his feelings. But he has never yet caught up with the 3 days that he missed at the beginning of the world, and he has never yet learned how to behave. I love that story. That's one of my favorite of the Just So stories. And incidentally, after yesterday and the whole deal about 50 longitude 50 west and latitude, or latitude 50 north and longitude 45 west, and I thought, when finding out that that was not a real place, I thought, well, I wonder if there's a place called a Howling Desert. So I looked it up, and of course there was no such place as a Howling Desert anywhere. I couldn't find any deserts that anybody referred to as a Howling Desert. When Rudyard Kipling called it the Howling Desert and said the camel was a howler, he was making a pun. You know, like a howler in England is like a mistake so bad that it's hilarious, and the camel with his long neck and long knobbly legs was just so hilarious and ridiculous looking that he was a howler. So he was making a pun. But what I did find when I was looking to find if there was a place called the Howling Desert was that there is actually an island called Howland Island. It's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's surrounded by nothing. Even though it's only a mile and a half long and half a mile wide, it's actually the biggest piece of land for miles and hundreds of miles. So it's like this dinky little thing surrounded by water. And it's actually where Amelia Earhart was going, or trying to go, when her plane disappeared on her way from New Guinea during her 1937 round-the-world record-breaking attempt. So that was kind of cool to find out. Interestingly enough, Amelia Earhart disappeared on her way to Howland Island. So did a bunch of Howlands, after whom the island was named. They were a shipping and a whaling family, and, you know, as you expect from a shipping and whaling family in the 1800s, they crashed a lot of ships, and a lot of them disappeared. So that's the history of Howland Island. You can find a lot more really fascinating stuff about Howland Island in the link down there. Also more about the geography of Howland Island in another link down there, and also some information on Amelia Earhart and an article in the LA Times about recent attempts to find her body, link down there. So thanks for coming by. I hope you enjoyed my reading, and I hope you come back tomorrow.